This is the Conscious Mental Health Podcast for curious clients and conscious clinicians. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered health or mental health advice. Future Juniper and Laurel here.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the future and you are seeing the past.
Yeah. Yes, you are seeing the past, but this is like future past.
Right.
Because now that you're watching this, both of these things are in the past. Is that weird? Is that right? My mind is not working.
Time does
very
not
well
exist and it's a
this
construct.
week. That's true. We know for so many people watching, maybe not everybody, but certainly many, many people watching, this is a really dark moment. This is a really dark, heavy place to be in time. And especially if you live in the United States and you are in any kind of a marginalized or oppressed group or class. You know, we recorded the episode that you're about to watch before the presidential election. And we talked about whether or not we'd go ahead and publish it. And we decided to go ahead and do that because we still need to make art. We still need to laugh. We still need to take care of each other. And so if you would like it, we are offering, hopefully, a moment of joy and laughter and, dare I say, nerdy fun.
Oh, and this episode is silly, fun, and very non-serious.
It's so I say it several times in this episode. This is going to be an incredibly unserious follow-up to this very serious introduction.
Yes.
So if it's not free right now, we totally understand. But if you're in need of something very unserious right now, feel free to join us.
We're back to After Billable Hours. I'm Juniper, licensed clinical social worker and mental health educator, and also soccer star.
Oh, wow.
AKA football.
Wow. A star.
I was a star.
A star in our midst.
I was an absolute shining star of an athlete.
Okay.
In my high school that we never won a game. We had so much heart. And yeah, I also got a scholarship to a D3 college that I didn't accept.
Heyo. Love it. Love that for you. Put that on the resume. I'm Laurel. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a mental health educator and not a soccer star. In fact, not athletic one bit. But in high school, I was on the speech team.
When you say speech team, is that debate or something different?
No, it's not debate. Although we did have a category that was a debate category. I did not participate in that.
You do not love that from our previous conversations.
I hate debating. It so stresses me out. Don't ever debate me.
Right.
So I did mostly duo, which you could do individual events or duo events. And it was the nerdiest thing actually on the planet. Truly the most. I can't really think of something much nerdier. But we had monologues or like dialogues like that we would act out sort of, but it wasn't actually acting. There were very specific rules. You had to have your script in a binder. You didn't have to have it memorized. But anyway, even if you memorized it, you still had to have your script in a binder. It's very specific. When you did duo, you had to turn the pages at the exact same time. You would stand next to each other, you and your partner, facing the audience. So you literally just act out only with your words, a piece with your duo partner. And we wore suits. Like suits.
What were the topics of said speeches?
One time, my duo partner and I did a piece from Monty Python.
Okay. So it's almost like spoken word, but you're not necessarily doing poetry, but you're not acting. So it's almost like you're reading a bedtime story. Possibly?
Maybe, except it was really early in the morning and we were all wearing pantsuits.
I know you're not the most competitive, you know, we've talked about this. Mm-hmm. Or have we? I know I'm a little more, possibly
You're
a little
definitely
more competitive.
Now, I am competitive with myself.
Yeah. So did you ever win?
Yeah.
Hey,
sure. We did great. Our speech team actually did great. I don't think we ever made it to state, but I think we did. We made it to regionals at one point.
Wow, that sounds very cool.
It was not cool, but it was fun.
I think it sounds cool. And I would have gone to one of your competitions
Speech
and or
events.
Performances. I would have totally gone and I would have supported, like screamed.
Whoa, that's
cheered.
not allowed.
You're not allowed to cheer?
Oh no. The
I can be like,
audience doesn't
go, Laurel.
No.
Okay.
I could
Hey,
find some
if we
time.
get enough people, Laurel will stream a speech. We can duo it. I don't know if I would be any good.
As long as you have a pantsuit. If we get 100 comments, yeah, I will do a speech
All
for
right.
you
Thank you.
in very formal high school rule
We'll
form.
live stream it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, I'm curious what memes you have been enjoying.
Is it time?
I think it's time.
It's time for meme of the week. Meme of the week.
Meme. Are you going first?
The meme that I chose this week is from at relatable_energy. It's a picture of the little icons of the like microphone in the video on a Zoom or like a video chat, and they're red and muted. So it says like unmute under it and then start video, right? So clearly in this photo, everything's turned off. And it says, my trust issues so bad, I don't even trust these. But I don't.
Oh, yeah.
I don't trust them.
Absolutely not.
Do you know how many times I've like checked and double checked to make sure that they're actually, I don't trust it.
No.
I don't trust that it's turned off.
No. Also, talk about trust issues with that. Something else that I thought about when I sent that meme was anytime I'm saying anything remotely that has to do with anything ever, I check my phone to see if I'm accidentally calling that person or accidentally recording it. Even if I'm not talking about a person necessarily, like if I'm saying something about anything, work, I just look at my phone constantly. Did you accidentally call
Because what if you did?
someone? What if you're recording this and like live broadcasting it to the world? I don't even know how to do that. We can barely set this stuff up. Look, something's going on with our camera right now. So it's like,
Is it? Oh no.
yes, I couldn't do it if I tried. But do you ever do that? Like,
oh, all the time. I think I understand why I do that because number one, I've had way too many times in my life where I have said something that I shouldn't have said out loud and somebody heard it that should not have heard it.
yes.
A lot of times. Probably more than the average person. And number two, because I just like say stuff without thinking.
Yeah.
I have actually recorded myself talking and almost sent it.
Yes.
I don't think I ever actually have sent it, but I have absolutely recorded I had a text open or something and recorded whatever
Siri picks
the
it up.
hell I was saying in the background and like almost sent it to somebody. So who knows when I might do that and then actually hit the send button. It could happen any day now.
Yes.
So you just definitely have to double check.
So I'm going to pick a seasonal meme. And this one from One Awkward Mom and The Marvelous Something. The Marvelous Mom. Oh, wow. A lot of moms.
A lot of moms.
A lot of moms are sharing this.
Well,
And it's also a reshare of Yukon Ghost. Give credit where credit's due.
sure.
This is a fall thing for where we are right now.
Yeah.
Our location, this is definitely true for.
Mhm.
Some of the nice things about fall are going to bed when it's dark and waking up when it's dark and going to work when it's still dark and getting off when it's dark and eating dinner in the dark. Embrace the dark. Become the dark. I liked it because I was just thinking about what that would be like to, instead of complain about it incessantly like typically I do. I'm going to go with this because seasons invite us to experience ourselves and the environment differently. So to me, embracing the seasons in some ways could be saying, okay, maybe I will be a little more tired. Maybe I'm going to sleep more. Maybe I'm going to eat more.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to watch TV more and hermit crab myself. And guess what? I like that.
Yeah, I think that's
But like,
okay.
I put pressure on myself to be as productive as I am in other times. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Why did it get me thinking like that? I can't make anything fun.
Today, we're going to make it not serious at all, and we're going to play a really nerdy game. Are you ready?
I love games of all sorts.
Okay,
Games are my favorite thing.
great. So we are going to
But I will not promise not to make it serious.
We are going to play a game I'm going to call Family Dinner. And of course, family can be any anybody you want it to be. It doesn't have to be blood relatives. And these are not my blood relatives, so don't worry about that. But it is also very nerdy because we're going to do the family as in like people in the history of psychotherapy.
The psychotherapy family.
But we have some dead people in here, some not dead people, some alive people. And what we're going to do is we're going to choose a name out of this bowl, and we're going to think about what food they would bring to our family dinner if they were a guest.
And why?
And why. If you are a psychology nerd, hopefully you'll love this. And if you're not, hopefully you'll learn something about who the hell developed our field right in our social location and how it's taught to us of psychology.
All the ancestors of the past and the current.
I didn't have an exhaustive list. So if your favorite is not included in here, just comment who they are and we can do Family Dinner 2.0. And to make it even more challenging, we're going to draw the foods and see if we can come up with a decent menu.
Only a person trained in art therapy would think it's fun to draw something onto a board because other people feel very anxious about that.
For the sake of science, I'll go first. So I have chosen John Bowlby.
Oh, Bowlby.
Oh, John. Okay. So John Bowlby is the developer or the founder of attachment theory.
Attachment theory. And I know that you've heard of attachment theory if you've ever been on Instagram.
This is true. Attachment theory is everywhere, all over right now. So attachment theory is a lifespan model of human development that emphasizes the role of our attachment figures. So that would be like central caregivers. So it could be a parent or it could be not a parent, and who ostensibly would provide a sense of safety or security, and whether they do or do not, and how that affects your growing up and your development. Right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. So I think John Bowlby would bring to this dinner party dinner rolls.
I was not thinking that. Explain yourself, Laurel.
Because you have to pass dinner rolls around, right? And you share them. And attachment theory is about like the relationship between you and an attachment figure, but like another person. And so, how would you pass those around? And what would it be like to receive that basket of dinner rolls?
Oh, I already thought of how an anxious avoidant person would pass them. Not because I know from real life.
Yeah.
I'd be worried that they would all go down and that no one would pass it to me. And then I'd be like, oh no, maybe I should start passing first because what if I don't get a dinner roll? Because what if no one passes to me? What if they forget about me?
Right. And an avoidant person just might take one and just put it back on the table.
Right.
And let everybody else figure it out for themselves.
Right.
Ooh. Dinner rolls.
Oh me. Oh my. Guess who's coming to the meal?
Who's coming?
B.F. Skinner.
Oh man. Okay.
Operant conditioning isn't part of the behavioral therapies. And essentially it's a method of using like rewards and punishments to modify behavior.
Right. Exactly.
Now in current times, that's a little more controversial from what I understand.
Yeah. I mean, I think we should say that these people, like, he's old. We've moved on somewhat from some of these theories. They're just more foundational.
Yeah. It made sense with maybe training rats and mice to like go grab food in a labyrinth kind of deal.
Right.
Yeah. That's what you had mentioned.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think of rats when I think of BFs.
But it's like saying, okay, you get a piece of candy because you cleaned your room, or, oh goodness, what would BF bring?
Don't say rats.
Well, we're definitely going to do a dessert item.
Okay.
Because they will definitely use that as some kind of tool to control people's behavior throughout the dinner.
Oh my gosh, right.
Okay, so I'm going to pick the dessert item. I just like cookies. I know that's not a traditional dessert that people bring because it's like pies and cakes, but I feel more comfortable drawing a cookie.
You can pick any item you want. This is
Do you like cookies?
I feel like I like cookies? You guys, y'all. Oh no, it's a long one. What did I do? Oh, my favorite. My favorite is coming to the party.
picked
Well,
your
one of
fave.
my faves. Okay, Karen Horney's coming to the party.
I don't even know Karen Horney.
I'm sorry,
but the
you
last-
don't know Karen Horney?
I'm embarrassed. Maybe I do.
I think you do.
Okay.
I think when I
would know if I
talk about
had a last
her-
name that said Horny. I feel like that would stick in my mind somehow.
it is unfortunate, especially given her work, but it's spelled with an EY, not just a Y, if that's comforting at all.
Still makes me giggle on the inside.
I mean, sure. Okay, so Karen Horney was one of the founders of feminist psychology. Well, she's famous for a number of different things, but one of the things she's most well known for is developing an opposing theory to Freud's penis envy that she calls womb envy.
Oh, yes, I have heard of that. I can't believe that name didn't stick. Womb envy. Can you really quickly describe that?
Yes, I can. Freud came up with his theory that people without penises were envious of people with them.
Yeah.
And that was a cause of a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And
Developmental
conflicts,
things.
developmental conflicts, sexual developmental conflicts, all kinds of things. Okay, so Karen Horney was like, that's dumb. What if actually it's womb envy? Womb envy describes envy that people without wombs may feel of those female biological functions, like having the ability to bear children. And now remember, this was the binary of gender because it was many, many years ago. The ability to bear children, nurse, be a mom. And that's why men as a whole in society have like tried to dominate and take over because they actually realize that they're less powerful.
Because they want back in?
Because again, in this binary idea, women are actually way more powerful because they have the ability to like bear children and mother the next generation. And so because men are envious, what they did is to basically like beat women down and keep them oppressed.
So it's
so that they can't take over because actually they're like more powerful and men know it and innately. So they work really hard to like prevent that from happening.
And it's the antidote to penis envy. It's like the other side.
Yeah, it's like
because Freud forgot about what's the
Freud-
binary opposite.
I don't even know if he forgot about it. I think he like legitimately just didn't care.
Right.
So Karen was like, oh, okay, penis envy. Okay,
Oh.
Freud, what about womb envy? Have we ever thought about that? So she was one of the mothers of feminist psychology. I'm going to go back again. Like, this is so unserious. This is so unserious. Karen Horney is going to bring egg salad. It's going to be a subtle dig at all of those other people at the party. She's like, I got the eggs.
Okay, so now we have 2 white men and 1 white woman.
One white woman.
Okay.
Again, proportional based on the history of our field. We need to do better.
I invited to the dinner Leon Festinger.
Oh.
Am I saying their name correctly?
I actually don't know.
Leon Festinger, who developed the theory of cognitive dissonance.
Uh-oh.
Which might-
topical.
I know, might be something that those of us are familiar with, even if that term isn't familiar. You
Right.
most likely are familiar with the feeling of cognitive dissonance. Okay, well, I'm not familiar with the story of how this person developed the theory. And this I just had to read.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so it said that while this person was at the University of Minnesota, they read about a cult that believed that the end of the world was at hand. A woman, Miss Keach, reported receiving messages from extraterrestrial aliens that the world would end in a great flood on a specific date.
I'm into this.
She attracted a group of followers who left their jobs, left their schools, spouses, and who gave away money and possessions to prepare to depart on a flying saucer that, according to Miss Keach, would arrive to rescue the true believers. This reminds me a little bit of Heaven's Gate, but
yeah.
anyways, given the believers' serious commitment,
Mhm.
I mean, this is a serious commitment.
Yeah.
Fessinger wondered how they would react when the prophecy failed because
It
the
wasn't
prophecy,
going down.
yeah, I mean, if we look at the history
Oopsie.
of prophetic cults using that fear to gain membership.
Right. I was going to say, it sounds like a lot of cults. Like, it does sound like Heaven's Gate, but
Right.
it sounds like most cults ever.
They were like, okay, well, how will they react? He and his colleagues, posing as believers, infiltrated Mrs. Keach's group
Oh, shit. I didn't know this.
and kept notes on the proceedings. Oh my God, I
Leon.
want that job so bad.
Leon.
So then they found the believers shunned publicity while they awaited the flying saucer and the flood. But when the prophecy was disconfirmed, because it didn't happen, almost immediately, the previously most committed group members made calls to newspapers, sought out interviews, and started actively proselytizing.
Interesting.
Fessinger was unsurprised by the sudden proselytizing after the prophecy's disconfirmation. He saw the cult members as enlisting social support for the beliefs to lessen the pain of its disconfirmation. The behavior confirmed predictions from his cognitive dissonance theory. And that theory, basically the premise was that people need to maintain consistency between thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. The dissonance is when we feel maybe two ways about something, or we feel confused, and the brain and body really likes that consistency.
And so
right?
I have to find a way. Even if from the outside looking in, it looks illogical potentially. We'll find a way internally to make it make sense.
Yeah. The inconsistency among the beliefs or behaviors. So if you believe in something so much and it doesn't happen, then you have to suddenly say, my beliefs were wrong. And the brain does not like that because you have committed so much and changed so much. So that's like an uncomfortable tension. And that's so interesting that that was one of the ways that they were able to notice cognitive dissonance in action.
It's fascinating.
So I'm
ready.
I'm trying to think of something that you think would be really, really tasty, but then when you eat it, it's disgusting.
But you have to pretend because you were really hoping.
And they all act like it's
All
good, but
act
everyone
like
knows
it's
they
good.
hate it. Okay, what's one dish that you pretend that you love because other people say they like it, and the person that made it or brought it was like so excited about it? I can think of like 4 different ones, but I'm going to do a very classic fruitcake.
Do it.
Because fruitcake is disgusting. You think it'd be great. It's fruity.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you like fruitcake?
I actually love fruitcake. I do think it's controversial.
I know. Okay, I'm doing fruitcake. It's like a hard, dry loaf with big, huge chunks of dried fruit.
But here's
that are also hard.
Here's where people go wrong, which is I could go on a fruitcake tangent for this podcast. I guess I will. Here we go. Everybody thinks it's dry, and usually a lot of times it is, but that is a fruitcake made wrong. It should not be dry. It should be soaked beyond all recognition in some kind of liquor.
That's bread pudding.
No, it's not bread pudding. It's fruitcake.
I've never in my life.
You've never had a fruitcake soaked in liquor?
I've only seen it twice in my life, and it was dry and hard.
But that's what I'm saying. It's a wrongly made fruitcake.
What is your fruitcake?
Those fruits are very large in this fruitcake. I got a good one. We have another woman at our dinner party. Okay. And actually, this is interesting because John Bowlby, attachment theory man, is already at our party. And now Mary Ainsworth is going to be at our party. Mary Ainsworth. So Mary Ainsworth was an attachment theory psychologist as well, but she is primarily known for, I think, as the developer of the strange situation experiment. Everybody, the strange situation?
The strange situation with the baby.
Situation. Okay, so for people who are not super nerdy, like we are, or potentially other listeners of this podcast who got super excited when I said that, the strange situation is an experiment that helped us develop further understanding about attachment theory. They brought in babies, and they brought in their parents, and they brought in strangers, and they observed what happened when different babies were placed in a room with their parent, or a room with their parent and a stranger, or a room with just a stranger. What happened when those different situations took place helped develop an understanding of how attachment is built and kind of plays out. I mean, it's a very famous study, very, very famous. So if you've ever learned anything about attachment theory, it's probably been referenced, right? And so we could do a whole podcast on this experiment. Right. But essentially, they noticed whether the babies would become upset when their parent left or not, and then whether they would return to their parent as a secure base, or whether they didn't care that their parent was gone or still there, whether they didn't care if they came back, for the parent to sue them if they were able to, if the baby was very clingy was also another really important thing, like if the baby didn't want to leave at all, or whether they were able to sort of adventure off and explore around and then keep looking back to their parent or return to their parent as a secure base. All are kind of signifiers of different types of attachment.
And no babies were harmed in this
Oh,
experiment.
no babies.
Unlike some older experiments in which ethics were different.
Okay, well, I got another attachment theory person, so I got to think of another attachment sort of a dish. Mary's going to bring TV dinners.
Oh, yes.
Individual TV dinners for everybody.
All right.
Because either that's a comforting, nostalgic thing, or that's a thing that reminds you of a lot of like sad things.
Yeah, I really had an emotional response thinking about kid cuisines.
I'm so sorry. She's going to bring kid cuisines.
Oh gosh, when I that just really brought up my kid cuisine lifestyle for at least 5 years. Okay, me.
Next.
Who's coming? I don't know why I'm closing my eyes.
Well, you're dropping them everywhere.
I know.
Okay. Uh-oh. You look so sad. Is this person going to ruin our dinner party?
No, I don't. This is just not someone that I follow or
That's okay.
vibe with. A lot of people do.
Okay, well, that's okay.
Esther Perel.
Oh, a contemporary figure.
We got a contemporary figure.
You know, that's the magic of this game. Like, you may like them, you may not, but you still have to think about what food they would bring.
And I don't even know why I don't. I just don't. Like, I tried to listen to a few of their new podcast episodes where they like go and infiltrate dinner parties and do some psychology stuff around relationships. So basically they're a relationship person. So I actually don't know a ton about Esther Perel.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm not like a huge Esther Perel devotee or anything, but I think of her as, yes, a relationship focused therapist. She is well known for her podcast. The way I found her was her first series of podcasts where she did the couples therapy intensives.
Mhm.
And it was kind of like you could listen in on how she did that work. She also wrote Mating in Captivity, which is kind of a famous book about monogamy.
Yeah. There's a lot of different
That's
views
an
and opinions
opinion.
around that. There's no
Yeah.
hard and fast rules.
Right.
But yeah. And my main thing though, I have to say, probably the reason why I haven't like focused or paid attention is I tend to actually shy away from media famous like Brene Brown.
Mhm.
I don't dislike Brene Brown. I just, once you get a Netflix series and things like that, I'm just curious of the quality of the research and work at a certain time.
Totally fair.
Perel's work is often based on personal anecdotes, case studies, and her experience with clients rather than empirical research, which is just a common critique of public-facing therapy figures. And I
Sure.
think
I
that's
get that.
a better way of saying it, which is fine. But a lot of our researchers, as we're going to see, used a lot of anecdotes and sometimes personal family members, aka Piaget, who just studied on his kids. And like, that's it. Okay. So what would Esther bring? I'm thinking something that possibly could ignite a little bit of fire.
Ooh, maybe yes.
Fire in the insides. Maybe something that's a little bit like cheeky and maybe a little erotic.
Right for her. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with peaches.
Okay, I really need you to explain peaches here.
Well, just the focus on erotic intelligence. I think peaches are erotic. They're
I guess, yeah, I could
juicy.
see that. Yeah.
And then I was
and there's
also
that
gonna-
Justin Bieber song
What?
about peaches.
I don't know that song.
What?
I don't know that song.
Oh no. All right, well, we're gonna have to play it.
I got my peaches out in Georgia. Oh yeah, shit.
In the whole fruit salad, they're probably some of the sexiest.
Put a bit of fruit and salad together, make a fruit salad, yeah, everyone's a winner. Sweetness of fruit, variety of salad. Ooh, fruit salad, you're the best of both worlds.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Who's gonna be our next guest? It's gonna be.
Oh, you made a face.
We don't have to like, respect, or follow this person's every word or opinion or thought
Or use their modality
or values for them to show up at this party.
Uh-oh.
This is a list of people that are important figures in this field and notable.
I'm starting to.
It's gonna be okay. It's really fine. It's fine. It's Bessel van der Kolk.
Oh yeah, Bessel. Wow, we're getting them. We're getting the full group.
Yeah, we got a party. Okay, so Bessel van der Kolk is very famous currently for writing "The Body Keeps the Score." And if you've been on Instagram or TikTok or the internet.
Or even been to therapy. Like
Yeah.
most therapists recommend this book.
The body keeps the score.
The body keeps score.
The body keeps the score.
The body keeps the score.
And I will say, it was very, at the time that I read it, it was very influential and helpful for me. I mean, it's definitely not something that I would just all or nothing trash to me.
Can we say the main premise of Body Keeps the Score? It's very
Yes.
simple.
Right.
It's a very simple main premise.
Is that trauma is stored in the body, like that can be involved in therapy work, like somatic therapies and understanding how to connect with the body and not just the mind in therapy.
You know, my first career as a massage therapist, we kind of came up with this before Bessel van der Kolk. Sorry, buddy. But we always said the issues are in the tissues.
Yeah, I don't think he's the first person that ever thought of this.
Okay.
He just wrote the book.
Yeah. And now it's like associated.
Yeah.
So can I ask you why you had that face?
I cringe every time I hear someone recommend The Body Keeps the Score to clients. I know it's been really helpful for a lot of people on their healing journeys, and I don't want to take away from that, but I do want to share why I don't recommend it to my clients. At worst, I think it can be unhelpful, and at best, it could be overwhelming and triggering.
You know,
Because, yeah, okay, trauma expert, influential in the field of trauma. Body Keeps the Score. Everyone reads the book.
he is also controversial.
Mm-hmm.
He's maybe done some things that are bad behaviors and bad choices.
Yeah, like getting kicked out of his own organization.
Yeah.
Been
And there's
created?
like allegedly allegations of sexual harassment and possibly abuse.
Yeah, bullying,
Bullying.
staff members.
Just not allegedly. And, you know, again, we could get really deep into it, but there are some things like in the book that there are other folks who do this kind of work that they disagree with based on their research. And people sort of take this book as like the Bible of therapy or have in the past. And it's just one point of view and one perspective. And there are other
Hot take, just an opinion. I'm speaking for myself and not any of my affiliations. Sometimes these like famous psychology people in the field and in other fields too, almost in some ways have a following like a cult leader.
a little bit.
Just a teeny bit. I'm not saying that's true. I'm not saying that's happening, because what happens is I believe in you and everything you've said. And if you've done something that is abusive, but you also speak on trauma,
Right.
what does that mean for my life's devotion work to trauma in this way? Well, anyway, little cognitive dissonance playbook.
A little bit.
I would say there's a little cult-ish with some of these really famous
Yes. I
psychologists.
think that's definitely true.
All right.
Okay.
What is Bessel bringing?
Okay. This is a hard one. Something that was really trendy to bring for a while and now is not quite as trendy anymore. So he is going to bring something that was very trendy all over the Instagrams and now has kind of fallen off. And I knew it would because I was against this from day one. And it's a butterboard.
What in even the world is a butterboard?
You don't remember the butterboard?
Absolutely not. I do not.
Okay.
Zulu, our resident dog, heard the word butter and came running in here. Someone comment if they've also never heard of a butterboard, please.
Butterboard is kind of like, well, it's a cutting board. Like a charcuterie board would have a board underneath of it.
Get it?
But instead of putting like charcuterie items, you put you spread softened butter all over it, and then you like sprinkle things on top of it, and then people take bread or crackers and like dip the butter off the board and eat it like that instead of using like a knife or to like spread butter and then like
I can see that.
but they like take the bread and they like dip off it's gross. I hate it. It's so
I can
gross.
kind of see it. I've never had
I
it,
think
but
it's
honestly,
gross.
there's a little part of me that's like, well, it's kind of easier.
No, hot take, it's gross. Why are your fingers in my butter?
Oh, yeah. I pulled Tara Brock.
Oh,
Tara
okay.
Brock. And that definitely is a familiar name.
Mm-hmm.
What's coming to me first when I think of Tara Brock is like meditation,
Mm-hmm.
mindfulness, Buddhist psychology is coming up, or like Buddhist philosophy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so one of my favorite Tara Brock things that I used probably early on in my practice and some iterations of those ever since is the rain meditation.
Oh, yeah. I do like that.
So essentially, really quick, if you haven't already, we do have a rain meditation
We
that
do.
is guided and led by Parker Bowling. And Parker actually took training with Tara Brach as a meditation instructor. And I like Parker's version better. So I started using that. You can use this meditation also as like a guide or a practice when you're having some uncomfortable feelings or intense feelings. R stands for recognize. So you kind of recognize what you're noticing in your body and your mind that's coming up with this feeling. A is allow. Let your thoughts and emotions be there. Just let them be there. Like, hey, I see you.
Here they are.
I, which is my favorite part of the entire one, is investigate. And that's when you kind of just investigate what you're noticing around that. Maybe what happened before, noticing other times you've experienced it. And then this is where this can change the end, but nurture. So maybe just giving a little gesture of care. So
Hug.
yeah, a little hug, hands to the heart. And another one that I've seen within was non-attachment. I don't like that one as much because I think that is a more of a spiritual practice that everyone might not resonate with.
Yeah, I think of like true like Buddhist philosophy
Yeah.
when I think of non-attachment.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I prefer nurture. That just resonates a little more with me. And I like love to myself. So yeah, rain meditation, Tara Brach.
Wonderful.
That's what I got.
What would Tara bring to this beautiful feast?
What came to my mind was heart, like just a heart, because I was thinking of the rain meditation being present and compassionate, and what kind of food is heart. So I was thinking of something like very nourishing and warming. And when you just eat it or see it, you're just like, yes, that makes me feel so warm and present. And I don't know why, but mashed potatoes is coming to me
All right,
for that.
we can go with it.
Whatever way you like your mashed potatoes,
Controversial.
everyone's got a take on mashed potatoes, but
Yes.
imagine your favorite brand of mashed potatoes. And that's what we're putting on the board. I like them piled very high.
They're very
in the
fluffy.
bowl.
My last pick. Here we go. Hope it's good and not another disappointment. Melanie Klein, who is a developer of object relations theory and play therapy. I'm not a play therapist. That's a very specific
Very much so.
thing. But I did used to use techniques a lot when I worked with kids. So essentially, object relations theory is about understanding how you relate to specific objects and what that says about you.
Interesting.
And working on processing your narrative through how you relate to objects. Probably a really rough explanation. That would not be how Melanie would.
I kind of liked it because think about it, like in play therapy, oftentimes like sand tray, you're picking objects and putting them into the sand. And so
Right.
the idea is that there's a relationship you have to that object. And that's why it's part of your experience. Or am I?
Yeah. And yes, that is a big part of it. But it's also about caregivers are objects too. And about moving from developmentally an understanding of yourself as the same as your parent to over time separating and individuating and understanding that they're like a separate object than you are.
How would
as
that
your
play
parent.
out in therapy, for example?
It's very psychoanalytic.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways you could work with that with a person, talking through this narrative of how did you come to understand that you were separate from your parent? Again, like in sand tray, what objects do you pick to represent these figures and how are they related? I mean, there's just like a lot of, it's a theory and you just like use it to as an explanation for how you think about things and yourself and how your ego develops.
Fun.
Play therapy is a huge field. And so I think that's an important feature for her too. Like she worked a lot with children and developed these ideas that they process through play. They don't have to like speak about it directly.
I don't primarily work with children. I've never studied that. So that's so interesting.
Mhm.
But I would also love for them to be at the party.
I think she would bring something that you could play with. I think she would bring some sort of a charcuterie situation. All right, last guest.
I know our table's getting so full. I'm hungry now.
Me too. Who'd you get?
Sigmund Freud.
Oh,
Founder of psychoanalysis. Freud was Austrian, developed all the theories of the unconscious mind. So close your eyes. When you think of Freud, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I think he did what I did. He just regressed to something. He's got the mind of a child.
You think you regressed?
Now, I know I did.
For me, it is the laying down, eyes closed, and the analysis person asking all kinds of questions.
Right.
What's yours?
A pipe.
Oh yeah, definitely the pipe.
Because he's like, it's not just a pipe, it's a penis. Like that's what he thought about everything.
Yeah. So it's like a
That's
lot of
weird,
people.
you all.
Freud was obsessed with phallic symbols and remember the penis envy thing that came up.
Yes.
And we were talking about this in our episode when we were giving the brief glossary of therapy terms.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the unconscious mind and the iceberg. So the idea is that the unconscious mind drives human behavior.
Yes.
So we get our very classic things like defense mechanisms, which still comes up.
Right.
Projection. What else would we say is a super classic Freud legacy that still shows up in everyday conversation?
Like daddy issues.
Yeah. Oedipus complex.
Yeah.
Anal retention. That was a big Freudian thing.
Yeah. People still say like, I'm anal. Like I'm as in like they're very like tightly wound and like too organized or whatever, too controlling.
Because your potty training went wrong or something.
Because you're trying to hold in your poop.
Yeah.
Did you all know that that's why? I mean, I think psychology nerds probably would. But like for people that didn't study this, like that's where the term like being anal came from. It's about controlling whether or not you're like controlling holding in your poop.
Yeah. Because
to have
you want
control over your life.
Yeah. That's your only thing you can control
It's
at that
a real
age,
reason.
they say. Freud, defense mechanisms. We also have like some of the psychosexual stages, which again, oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital. It's like, dude, last but not least, dream analysis. And that's why I was like kind of hoping that Jung would come up because that's something I do think is a legacy that's interesting, worth exploring.
I think everything is like worth totally trashing just because he wasn't maybe a very nice person. He had some ideas that were not great, but
and wasn't there allegations? All kinds of allegations.
Oh, I think there were more than allegations.
What would Freud bring to the dinner table?
Man, there's so many choices.
I know that you have thought this already in your mind. I can't come up with anything, and I want to use a Freud technique to come up with it. So it's truly arising from the unconscious for me.
Okay.
So plant, marker, sauce. Sauce. We're bringing sauce.
Okay.
What kind of sauce? Okay. Let's start with another word.
No, you have to free associate with sauce.
Okay. Sauce. Red. Book. 5. And we're done. Red sauce.
There are lots of red sauces. I was just going to go simple and say hot dogs.
Actually, for red sauce, I'm going to do cranberry sauce.
Oh, very nice. Actually, fun fact, cranberry sauce is my favorite traditional holiday food.
And the way I'm associating that with Freud is I think my subconscious mind was red sauce. I mean, think about it. Period blood.
Freud would have a field day with you.
I know. Thank you so much for this wonderful game. I feel like I've learned even more about psychology today, and I'm really hungry. And I also think this would be the most effed up dinner selection.
I'm actually really upset at this menu.
I know, but at the same time, like, isn't that perfect?
Truly a
conglomerate.
very real metaphor for how our field got to be where it is today.
Because they all came to the table, mix match of random stuff like cranberry sauce, chocolate chip cookies, fruitcake, big ass bowl of mashed potatoes, butter boards, egg salad, peaches, TV dinners, rolls, and charcuterie.
Yeah, you're going to go home and need to stop for McDonald's on the way.
100%.
Let's just be honest. But everybody tried their best, didn't they?
Yes.
They tried their best.
And let me just put out that there's a few honorable mentions like Dan Siegel, Marsha Linehan. We had the Gottmans. Oh, wow. We had all kinds of good ones. If you all want to put your favorite contributor to the psychology world, mental health world, we would love to know what they would bring.
Yeah, I want to know who other people think of.
Right?
Because again, we have a lot of folks that we didn't get to.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious what other people think of if you think about the history of psychotherapy.
If you would love to play this game, let us know if you've played it and how it went.
If you've played it, I'm actually going to be real honored because I came up with it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And you can do iterations of this. Like it'd be the funnest party game for you and all of your therapy lovers.
Yeah. You could get so nerdy so fast.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
be great.
What would they have in their bags? What would be in their luggage for a trip?
Ooh.
I mean, we could go to so many fun places with this.
So much baggage.
Thank you so much for inventing this. You probably
so
should
welcome.
trademark it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Don't you have to do that before you put it out there to the public? Nobody steal this until I trademark it.
Actually, we're going to make this a communal gift to the world.
Yeah,
that we don't
you
need
can
ownership
have
over.
it. You
But
can
it is a
have
fun
it.
idea. This has been a fun After Billable Hours.
I know.
Playing a game was so fun.
Yeah.
And I learned and I cried and I
laughed,
laughed.
we cried. We drew food. Bye, you all.
Like and subscribe. Remember, 100 comments equals Laurel live streaming a random speech. Speech champion over here. Peace.
Bye.